watch Survivor, and when the show ends, you really want to talk about it with like-minded friends. It might be hard to find some, but don't you shed a tear. Check out the Purple Rock Podcast, and this is what you'll hear. John will make some dumb jokes, Andy likes to yell and curse, and if they're not available, the backup hosts are so much worse. Spend the whole time being jerks, telling you you're wrong, and so we got this other jerk to sing you our theme song. It's the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast.
Welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor Podcast. I am John, my co-host is Andy, and this week we are talking the Survivor 48 finale. It's finally come to a conclusion, and that means it is one of our favorite times around this podcast, Andy. It's time to gloat.
Oh, God, yes.
If only someone could have predicted that this was coming.
It's impossible, yet it obscured everything.
I mean, we were clearly headed down this strong 6, strong 5, strong 4 path, whatever. And, just it was going to be the Honor and Loyalty Alliance was going to dominate. If only someone could have guessed that maybe that wasn't going to happen.
Now, I got to say, if you're on the other side of that, congratulations to you for sticking out this podcast this long, because it's been not a fun journey. You could bounce back and like, hey, it was the strong 3 in the final, right? Am I right? One of them won.
Kinda. I mean, sure. Did you enjoy
Technically true, which is the best kind of true.
Did you enjoy this finale?
Yeah. Honestly, as a finale itself, it was kind of mid. It was hard because, man, we knew what was going to happen already.
Yes.
There wasn't a lot of magic or mystery for us, even when there were some decisions, or it was kind of like a lot of the decisions that have happened over the past few weeks. Gut instinct initially being like, but then it was like, I'm just going to trust it because I know what's going to happen here. And again, to be clear, because sometimes maybe people just tune in for the finales, completely unspoiled. Other than paying attention to the edit that was presented to us that I don't feel like was very difficult to read. I feel like we gave you the clues, Mr. Policeman.
Yep. I mean, and I held back for weeks. I went and I was texting with Mike Hirsch, who does our theme song today, and we had discussed at the charity boot that it felt like Kyle was a winner. And then by the David boot, I was pretty much 100%, to the point that I finally relented and said something in the comments. I was like, look, I've been dancing around it, but this is what I think happens. I don't think it's that, because there were people in our comments who were like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, look, man, I feel like I can tell you where this is going. It's not an unpredictable season.
Yeah. And for me, it was less about Kyle winning, although I also felt because I was trying to cling on to hope that maybe Kamilla, right? And there's even a world where it's it's not unusual that the story will get told through one perspective and then that person gets taken out and under the radar. So it's even going through the finale, I was I'm not 100%, but it's high 90s% that it was Kyle. But more importantly, and I was speaking about this early, it's just it was obvious it wasn't Joe and Eva, the thing that everybody had been freaking out over. And that's, the last several episodes I've done the thing that I've done many times before, but had really been making an effort to steer away from, with just reacting to reactions constantly. Especially because I'm getting those reactions third hand. I'm not actually in the spaces that much, although I do sometimes see blue sky, and a lot of it was there too, even after during this episode. But it's people, it's really not hard to see that it's not going to work out for these people. And we've laid out that case episode by episode, and it didn't matter. Everybody was just doom spiraling, and I just didn't understand it, because I really don't think it was that subtle. I don't think, as much as I'd love, and I will, pat ourselves on the back for just a perfect read of this season, I didn't think it was that big a challenge.
No, that's the thing. It's we have definitely been off on where we thought a season was heading before.
Yes.
I mean, usually once we get close to the end, we're like, oh, okay, I think I got it. But
and then sometimes we're defiantly off, even like we know, but we don't
Right.
want to say it.
exactly.
Which could have been them, but that, I don't think that was the case because these people weren't happy about their
No,
predictions.
that's the
way it
thing
was
is
going.
they weren't like, well, maybe it is. Maybe it's my guy. No. that was not their guy. I'm with you on finding the finale relatively like, just it felt like checking the boxes because, again, I kind of knew where this was heading. But there were a couple highlights, one of which was, normally I don't give a shit about people's jobs, right? But the reveal where Joe finds out about Kyle and Eva's jobs, like, good only for the part where Joe's like, yeah, I'm a fucking fire captain. Like, I wasn't lying. Like, that's really what I am. Like, great reaction. And then I think, you and I had been rooting for Kyle and Kamilla all along. So to see in real time, like at final, the not post final tribal thing, where Probst reveals that Thomas had a vote steal and Kamilla immediately, I mean, it's like a beat, not even. And she's like, oh my God, they had a vote steal. They could have blown up our plan. Like, just jumps back to a moment 2 weeks ago and is like, oh shit, we were so lucky that we dodged that bullet. And like, again, just hammers home. I fucking loved this duo, man. Like, they were great. They were really fun. They were the types of players that I really enjoy watching. So yeah, I mean, as far as the episode itself, meh. But like, yeah, I like watching the people that I enjoy watching play Survivor, right? And Kyle and Kamilla, I enjoy watching them play Survivor.
Yeah, no, like as a 3-hour experience, as a fucking Godfather length viewing experience,
Right.
And like it kind of akin to some of the season in that like there was not going to be a whole lot happening. And if you didn't appreciate that about this season, I get it. But I did like getting more of them, getting to see more. I like how they approached this game and how Kyle won this game. And most of all, I really liked that it gave me the opportunity to come on this show and just be like, I told you so. Oh my God, we were so right. Why don't people just listen to us? And moreover, like, it's what's interesting is like, how were we so right? Well, everyone else, so many other people were so wrong.
Right. And a lot of these people have watched the show for as long as we have. Like, I don't feel like it was some super genius perceptive read by us. Like, I was just like, man, I thought it was obvious for so long that like I almost felt like I'd be spoiling the show for some of the people in our comments. And it's like, I don't know the actual outcome, but like, are you watching the same show? Because I feel like there is an outcome that is very probable given the way this story is developing. And yeah, that's what I was saying is like around the David boot, I was like, man, look, I'll tell you why I've been dancing around this shit. I feel like it's obvious that Kyle wins. And someone was like, oh, I guess I could see that. I think it was Prom King, our commenter. And I was like, yeah, it seems pretty obvious to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't want to keep hammering it home because I was like, I feel bad that, do you guys think that I'm spoiling this?
Then that's happened before, right? When we've just flat out said, no, it doesn't matter because Tommy's winning or whatever. And like we've got like people commenting like on like reviews or whatever, like Apple will be like, thanks for spoiling the season. It's like, well, we don't actually know. It's just so fucking obvious.
Right.
Right. So I think we've kind of learned from that. And we moved away from predictions altogether. Of course. It's just becomes it shuts off more discussion points than continues, and I think that's what happened. There's a lot of fans, and they're loud in various communities who really want to be right, and that's what they love, and this is gonna be rich coming from someone like me, but like sometimes you just have to be able to say, oh shit, I was wrong. Because like they're still apparently, I don't know, like not backing down now. It's like, you guys were so wrong. The thing that you said that you hated about the season that was leading to a certain direction was not true. Just admit you were wrong. And maybe you could like find, oh, actually, it wasn't so bad. I'm not going to say that they were loved this season because, again, like it was a slower paced season. I liked it. and now we're getting farther ahead, so maybe I'll save some of that. But it's just like we were able to just like instead of panicking about it going in a direction, and I kind of called this out a few episodes ago too. It's like, well, another thing is like if it's Joe, and I didn't believe for a second that it was going to be Joe. Like at that point in time, I was like, it's not Joe. But if it is, like that's not the end of the world for me. So maybe free from that panic, I was able to see this season a little more clear-headedly. But it's like even more than it's Kyle, who I agreed, because it's just like the story of what was going to counter this season was always more Kyle than it was Kamilla.
Correct.
But it's like I called it out too. It's like every week, all we get from Joe and Eva is like, I don't think anything could ever go wrong. When does that ever happen for a winner? Like that, every time in the history of this show, when we've seen that things go wrong, like just that simple thing, yet people were just apoplectic about this. And I think it's just the fact that the idea of it didn't make us angry probably is what allowed us to actually see what the show was telling us, which they were telling us very plainly. Like there was always all these questions. Why did Kyle do that? He fucking told us why he did it.
That's the thing is, I admitted a week or two ago where I was like, I was surprised at how like the vote went where they didn't take out Joe. And then I realized like, it's not that it's a bad thing they didn't take out Joe. I mean, I still believed. I was like, okay, I get it. They're going to win despite Joe being around. But it was just like, that was not the path I thought they were going to take. Mm-hmm. But then once I realized like, oh, no, they just had a different plan. It's still going to be successful. Like, oh, okay. And it just made it easier for me to take because I was like, I was thinking, they had to get Joe out in order to win. I was like, oh, actually, if I sat there and I looked at who would be on the jury, yeah, I mean, I feel like I could see the Kyle win then. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep. I was dumb. I just didn't think about that as it was until it got to the point where they should have voted out Joe and didn't.
Yeah. And for me, I was on that even earlier. It's just like, are we sure this jury is going to be pro Joe? And they very clearly were not. So right. That's another, I told you so. And that's just so great. I know some people have been waiting for this gloat and we're doing it and it's fun. But it's just like, as I said, this one was just so easy that it's almost less fun to gloat about. Also, I've kind of been gloating about it for a few weeks now without even knowing I was correct. I just felt really confident that I was correct.
Some pre-gloating, if you will.
Yes. But I don't really even know if I would rank this as my favorite I told you so's.
So funny you should say that, Andy, because we did get fan mail, which is what they call it when you text us. Also, probably if you're going to text us about this specific podcast, good luck getting a response because we don't respond to you. We can't text you back.
We'll see you again in September.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to wait a long time to hear back from us. Anyway, we did get a text this week that said, top 3 idea for next week. Top 3 I told you so's / times Andy, or theoretically John, was right and everyone else was wrong. That is from Sophie. And I just want to say that this question is great and it is making it on the podcast because of the theoretically John. Like that's the reason it's getting addressed. That was so beautiful. I laughed when I read it. Well done.
I shared it with the rest of the staffers and they were like, yes. And I was like, yeah, this has to happen. Yep. So thank you. And yeah, we're just gonna go with me. So I have an honorable mention. And my first honorable mention of the great I Told You So's that I've had is every time fake idols have been played since Heroes for Healers, Hustlers. It's so great. It became, a catchphrase, and that's, cheesy, but still fun. And what's great about it is that when I first came up with the fake idols don't mean anything take, it was fully unformed and it was just being petty. So it all comes back to Heroes HHH very early on. Chrissy got an idol that I think expired like that, her very first tribal council. And in that tribal council, it was standard stuff where it was like, oh, we got to choose between one of the 2 old ladies. And there was like her, and I believe the other lady was like an Olympic swimmer. I don't remember the name. And I came out with my take. It's like, Chrissy should have used it. Clearly she didn't need it because the votes were somewhere else. But you have this opportunity, one-time opportunity to flip the game. I think you said it didn't matter. You were right. But what really set me off is not that she didn't do it, and ultimately it didn't matter, right? It really didn't matter. And also we found out that it was just like the idea, this is me. We just met these people. I didn't know. The idea that Chrissy was going to work with a woman, crazy. But everybody, what set me off, what I just couldn't stand about it, because I didn't even have an opinion on Chrissy yet, right? Was people were praising her for not doing anything. Oh man, that was so brilliant. And nothing bothers me more than that. Than this like, oh, we're going to magic up some brilliance behind. It's the notes that you don't hear. Fucking bullshit to the point. Like, I think she got a fishy that week and all of that. And I'm just like, that's what drove me nuts. It's like, that's what we're doing out here? Praising nothings? If we go, that was so, a woman her age and has the skill to not play it. And like, she just did nothing. There was nothing and she did nothing. What are we doing here? And one of the takes that people had was now she has the most convincing fake idol of all time.
Because it's a real idol. Yeah, it's just expired and people won't know that. So it's, my God, it's so powerful.
And I think this is before like they really started, we're just going to make these things look like shit so that you can make your own fake idols, right? And I was so amped up of everybody like overpraising nothing that I'm like, fuck fake idols. That's nothing. I loved fake idols for that. Right. But like, so it's pettiness. And then like, I really thought about it. And it's like, okay, everything I loved about them is just like the drama, the clowning on people. But like, when have they actually ever helped anyone? Never. But I didn't know how like right I was. And then every time since then, it's only been worse. It's blown up in people's faces. It's been nothing. So that, it's an honorable mention because it's like 8 or 10 times now. But it's just completely born out of pettiness became like, this reoccurring I told you so bit. So
I did forget that it started there, but it's appropriate that it did. That season sucked ass.
Yeah. So speaking of, number 3 is we were adamant every episode that people didn't like Chrissy. And that was not a take that was shared by much of the internet. They had championed this woman, I guess, back from when she didn't play an idol that only could be played once. And like, it was just insane to me. It's like, are you not watching this show? Again, it's kind of like this one, only worse. It's like, all we get from everybody is like, I don't really like her. Like, she doesn't really talk to us. And yet people are like, yeah, she's got a social game. Like, they just so much didn't want Ben. Oh my God, it's like this season. So they so much didn't want Ben to win that they were like inventing that Chrissy was like a palatable alternative. And we were not on that. And so what it really stands out to me is at the end of the season, Inside Survivor, the website, they were going to do this segment, I don't know, Jury Jeopardy or something. I can't remember what they called it. But the idea was like to invite different like websites to like make predictions on like what the jury's choices would be going into the finale. And they asked us if we wanted to participate, and you put that out to the group, and in classic Purple Rock fashion, nobody stepped forward.
Yep.
And then we just never got back to them.
That's what we did.
And like it happened, like, oh, hey, do you have your submission, or are you going to do your post? And then you're like, hey, did anybody going to do that? And no. So we weren't going to, then we're just going to like, okay, I guess we're not doing it. But other sites posted theirs. I think like True Dork Times was one. I'm not sure what the other one was. Maybe it was just a different writer for True Dork Times. I don't know. And I read it after already not deciding we weren't going to do this. And they were predicting Chrissy was going to win, get lots of jury votes. And then what really, like, I was reading this, like, what the hell am I reading? Who would say this? And then I think they predicted that Ben would vote for her. Like, his whole deal is that he can't stand Chrissy, right? So just from that, I was like, fuck it, it's on. And I just like, it was like the gif of like my pen with fire coming out of it. I just fired off probably like 2,000 words, all with the motivation of being like, there's no fucking way the jury is picking Chrissy. And then I got to be, I told you. So now, interesting, I think I didn't win. And it's all because while I was writing it, I decided, you know what? If I say like JP the fireman, who was allied with her at one point, wouldn't vote for her, I'll just look like a hater. Nobody will take any of my takes seriously. Even though I legitimately think like, are we sure he's going to vote for her? I think he's good. Like a guy's guy. He's probably going to vote for a guy.
Yep.
And he didn't. He voted for Ryan. If I had just done that one, I think I would have won. So like, My whole thing was driven by the whole motivation for this post was just to talk about like how insane it is to anyone with a straight face to suggest that these people were going to vote for Chrissy. And I was right. And that felt good once the episode aired. It's like, you guys were insane.
I just want to point something out, which is that like you nailed the thing that drove me fucking nuts was people saying like Chrissy's got a great social game. You know, the only person who ever said that in that season was Chrissy herself. Everybody else, it was so like people watching the show were somehow not getting that like Chrissy would be saying like, you know, I've got a great social game. And then it would be juxtaposed with these people being like, man, I'm annoyed by Chrissy. Chrissy sucks. And like, I don't like talking to Chrissy. I don't want to work with Chrissy. And it would just keep happening. Right.
Yeah.
But like somehow people were only getting part A where Chrissy's like, I have a great social game. And they're like, reliable narrator Chrissy, she must have a great social game. And they would then spout this out. Like, but you're seeing the evidence that she doesn't. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why don't you understand what's happening here? It was so frustrating.
Yeah, and we were on it every week, and I'm like, hey, you know, you're a great champion here, because what ends up happening frequently on the Survivor internet, at least the portions that we see, obviously there's another portion that this doesn't happen ever, is like, it's like, that's the woman we're going to get behind. And I was like, her? Have you noticed any kind of pattern to her voting or her alliance making here? We don't have to make her the cause celeb. I promise you that. Like, when they do this, when they'll, like, it's Chrissy, it just shows, like, I don't know if you actually care that much about women, because it clearly doesn't matter what the woman's like. You're just like, whatever. She's got the right chromosome, so I got to ride or die. It's like her. So
it's just like the Joe hate this season. It's like, you get that, you know, like, he's a pretty positive masculinity figure. Like he's pretty great. If people are just, he can't win though. Oh, can you imagine? Hey, also quick aside, you know, speaking of Chrissy, people may just maybe there's rumors out there they may have reason soon that they can re-embrace her as a cause.
And I'm fine with it as long as people go in with clear eyes and full hearts that like she isn't the hero of the story. It's the opposite part.
Right. Oh, God, that was so frustrating. Hit me with another one. What do we got?
So this one was very early in the podcast history. And what's interesting about this one is I was initially and famously and hilariously incredibly wrong.
Yes.
But not long into it, so right. And that is predicting that Tony would win Cagayan. So obviously, that was like, I think, our second season.
It was very early.
Very early. I know our first was Blood versus Water, so if that's the chronology, then that's what it was. And I'm like, hey, I got a new fun idea for the podcast. Let's start saying who has 0% chance based on our view of edits, our view of like what wins Survivor. And
you wanted to go bold. That's the important
thing. There's no like, oh, that nothing person that's doing, oh, that's boring. The guy who was the most dynamic part of the episode, the guy who's doing everything, I was like, I'm going to say him. And I'm like, so first episode, Tony has no chance of winning Survivor.
I want to point out, Tony had already found an immunity idol by the time you said this.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't care, man. 0% chance. Yeah. Not 0%. And then like 3 episodes in, I'm like, I'm not feeling good about, I mean, I'm stuck with it, but I'm not. And then like five, like, okay, you guys, I have to live with this forever, but I absolutely believe he could win. And then like early, it's like, I think he's fucking winning this season.
Yep.
And we were both that way, right?
Yes.
You just didn't have the mark of having put him in that. And we were the lone voices out there saying this because Tony famously would combat the other hard takes, right? You know, he went on, Rob's podcast or like left a voicemail or something talking about like shit stained glasses or something like that. And not us. We're like, I think he's winning this thing. Like, and it's like this season, I guess we weren't so biased that like I literally backtracked on a take that I made, Mr. I'll never admit when I'm wrong, but we weren't so biased. Like, this is what a winner has to be, that we were able to just see what was happening. And I know some people might think that maybe we were just biased because Tony was in communication with us.
I think,
but
that's
the relationship is the opposite.
Yes, exactly. I think that that started once he realized that we were on the Tony train. We're like, oh shit, like no, he's really playing well, and that's what it started. Like, because Tony is.
He didn't reach out early because he'd reach out to anybody, right? Like, I think after I put him in the 0% club, we got our first DM from him. He's like, hey, kind of went hard on me, but not great show. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm doing a bit of the voice, but it was textual.
No.
No, well, I halfway decided to do it, and then like that, I
either
didn't
commit
it.
or don't, Andy.
Yeah. And then, as it went on and my tone started to change and all that, then what would happen is like we would post on Fridays, and then like after it would go up, like later that afternoon, he would listen to the show and then respond to specific things we'd said. And often it's like, hey man, you guys really saw what I was doing there and I really appreciate it. And he'd give us a little bit more detail of what had happened, never what would happen. In fact, he even flat out said, I can't give you any spoiler information. I'm like, we don't want it. We don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the point where it's like, but if you have any questions, if it's not that, well, and there was one question we had, because when he got his special powers idol, this is before they would really show you the whole parchment and have them read it out. And there was just one within our community with other fans communities, like, when does that thing expire? So we're thinking this is just a rules-based thing. It's a fine question. So hey, could you tell us when your special powers thing expires? And he's like, oh man, I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. But what would be spoilerish about that?
Right.
Turns out because he lied about what it was very spoilerish. So he was really careful with that, which is great because that's not what we wanted. But yeah, man, honestly, when he reached out the first time, it was like, hey, thanks for saying this, but you're a hard. I still came back the next episode, was like, this clown ain't winning.
Mm-hmm.
So I stuck to my guns until I saw it. And then when he won, it was just such great time. Because for one, it was just so fun anyway, if we were just viewers. But being the voice out there, it was like, no, are you seeing this? If this man was to win Survivor, it would look exactly like this.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you guys just need to let go of your perceptions of what winners with somebody's too OTT or whatever. And that's another one that also really helped us once we learned what Edgic was. It's this is pure bullshit, because it's they only seem to get it right when it's obvious or that it lines to kind of what they want to happen anyway,
or when they've been spoiled.
But when something like Cagayan, I mean, I don't have no idea about this season, but given the general reaction, I suspect that maybe it wasn't this way, even though I don't think it was that difficult to posit the idea that Tony could win, and it seemed to just blow everybody's fucking minds.
I can tell you that it wasn't that difficult because my own children were able to determine, and admittedly not early, it took them a while because they've seen a couple seasons of Survivor, but that's the only old season I've gone back and showed them, and that towards the end they were Woo's really fun, but does Tony win? It seems like Tony wins. And I'm like, interesting take.
And maybe that's what it takes, right? Somebody's not as versed in it, doesn't know, oh, well, that person really... And frankly, the audience reaction to him, oh, that guy could never win, mirrored the cast's. And that's how he was able to negotiate it, right? Is that everybody always well, he's just this, he's never going to win. He'll fall. And he was able to outpace them by using that. So, that was number 2. And number 1 was the biggest I told you so ever, the most obnoxious I told you so. Frankly, probably too obnoxious and probably drove some people away from our website, but it just had to be done. And that's and again, this is both you and I'm just bigger asshole about it. There was no hidden story to Ghost Island.
Man, I didn't understand why people were so adamant that these nothing characters had just really something big going on. And I'm like, man, we're not seeing them because they suck. That's the whole reason. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
There's no conspiracies happening. It's just that, certain people have no bearing on the state of this story. That's why they're getting ignored. And it's we get to the finale and everybody's like, huh, I guess that's why they ignored them.
Look at that.
Shit.
This season that was heavily edited only to be featured by 2 people was that, wow, they really were the only 2 people that mattered, and mattered in a way that had never mattered before in the history of Survivor. There wasn't a secret rebellion. There wasn't this other super entertaining season of the Survivor that the producers were keeping from you. This was the best they could fucking do.
Hey, quick aside, because the Tony thing reminded me, we don't generally do interviews, and we haven't for a very, very long time. But this season, it is generally, I just have no interest in talking to any of these people. But for the first time in a very long time, I'm like, Kyle and Kamilla seem cool. I would probably talk to one of those 2. I'm not going to go out of my way to make it happen, but I would. in theory. Again, it won't happen because I won't put in the effort, but I would
Yeah.
probably talk to one of them.
Yeah, my take is that I'm clearly not a very good interviewer or sharer of the mic. So it's like, I don't know what value I'd bring to a Survivor interview.
Right. Can you imagine just wanting to hear what someone else said?
I cannot.
Yeah,
That's the problem. We did interviews, and I'm like, well, fuck, man, I want to talk.
You're like, this part is terrible.
Yeah. Honestly, this is where I'd want, if we ever did another Survivor thing, I'd want them to be listening to the show and want to talk to me. Which, I mean, Tony had, but, it's not like he was asking us any questions.
No, it was great.
We let that man catch a breath every once in a while with questions.
Yeah.
After he'd go off for 20 minutes on
Take a sip of water, Tony, here. I'm going to ask you a question.
But yeah, those are like this season, like I said, because this one was so obvious, it can't touch those three.
Well, let's get back to talking about this season, because we did get the winner that we assumed was coming, and it was Kyle. Congrats to him. What did you think there was anything special about the way that Kyle won this season? Like what stood out to you about his path to the end?
I was thinking about this today, and I can't think of a single mistake he made all season long. And I'm happy if somebody has them. I think I'm a little less interested if they're like incredibly trivial, but every decision worked well.
And that was the thing, is I think that there was a moment when, I want to say it was him and Kamilla, maybe it was the Shaheen plan, where I was like, you're going too far, like in the moment, like you're selling past the close. But then 20, 30 minutes later, I'm watching it play out. I'm like, oh, no, yeah, that was right. That was the right thing to do. Because once I worked it out, I'm like, no, again, credit to them. And they do think of this shit. Like, as I mentioned earlier, Kamilla sitting at the thing with Probst, where she just hears that there was a thing that could have submarined their earlier tribal council win over Thomas. And she's like, oh my God, that could have totally backfired on us. It took her no time. Because strategically, they think shit through, and they're very good at this game.
And that's the thing I really hope that once this cloud, I mean, whatever, I guess it's not that important. But once the dust settles, that maybe people, because all season long, all people think was that he was fucking up, right? You were wrong. He was not. He was right to make the decisions he made. And that's honestly because they're not even a decision that I would have thought of or made. And, I'm a super genius who's never will play Survivor. But yeah, it's just this episode bore it out in a way that it wouldn't have necessarily if they had done the things that we thought they were going to do. If they vote out Joe at 5, I can't say here it's like, oh no, he made the perfect right decision, so much as, wow, they really got lucky that they had one more shot at Joe. But it wasn't that. He was completely right that it's really unimportant for me to vote out Joe.
Yep.
And everybody who spent weeks, just chastising him was wrong. You were wrong. Sit there and be in your wrongness. You just trust, as hard as it is to believe, that the people that were actually in there and in that environment had a better handle on the dynamics at play than we did, the viewers, right?
Well, and that's the other thing, is that I'm really impressed by how well Kyle just reads the room, right? He plays the game that's there for him. He didn't I think he probably wanted to be someone who makes a big move or something like that. But he did have a legit connection with Joe. And then he was like, okay, I'm sure there was stuff that we didn't see because it would have given away the game. But he's got this connection with Joe, and he's like, shit, man, I don't want to burn this guy. I would feel really bad. And then probably works his way through oh, actually, though, what if I just didn't burn this guy? I could just beat him straight up, maybe I'll let him stumble. I'll set him up to stumble. But I don't have to be the one to take him out. I can just bring him with me because I like the guy. And that's exactly what fucking happened. And even down to the point of Kamilla started it, but saying, hey, listen, I really respect your game. I respect you, but one of us should go to the final because otherwise we're splitting votes. And it's this, it was such an awesome scene because they have respect for each other, right? But they're also correctly assessing the situation and being like, shit, I don't want to vote you out, but like, I want to win the game.
Yeah. So like I said, I just can't think of a single misstep. And that's one thing, like, again, most of the people that have done the most complaining about the season are not members of the community. I doubt they listen. But there are some that do. That, yeah, again, it's fair. We're all just, we don't know the fuck we're talking about. We're just saying, but like, you should put it in comments that you were wrong. You know, that when you thought that like they like, what the fuck are you voting out Shaheen for? Actually, that was the exact right move. Why are you voting out Mary? And look, man, if you want to hang on to it was these were bad moves for Mitch, whatever. I'll let you have that. I need you to provide some evidence that Mitch actually had options for other things, because the big move that people like, well, we should have done it when Star was around. Joe was actually immune. I think it's important to remember that. And for that plan to work, every single person that wasn't in that power alliance would have had to go for it. And I don't know if Kamilla's going for voting out Kyle. But okay, look, whatever. I don't care about Mitch. Like, literally, don't. But like, you know, the criticisms that you had for Kyle, you were wrong. He didn't need to do any of those things. And that's actually what's most impressive, because the patience to do that, to be like, you know what, no, it's fine. My game is strong, and I don't need to be taking these risks because they don't actually bring value to my chances to win. There are other ways to do this. I don't know if I've ever seen it like that, you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it was interesting to watch him, like, he kind of got to have his cake and eat it too, right? Like, he would have felt bad voting out this guy that he's got a bond going with. But then, like, he's like, well, you know, I can have it both ways here. And like, good on him for correctly identifying who he could beat. Like, that's an extremely important skill. And he did it. He nailed it.
And recognizing who were the real threats.
Right.
And they didn't feel that way to us because we weren't fucking there, right? And they weren't edited as though they were real threats because they didn't win and they were not finalists, right? Like, it's easy to tell the story of how Joe would be a threat. Just fucking look at him, right?
Right.
It's harder to tell the story of why, you know, Mary or Mitch would be a threat, but Kyle recognized it. And again, getting back to what we started with the gloating, they fucking told us this stuff. Like, he gave us the reasons why he was doing this stuff, and yet people were still so quick to be like, these guys are idiots. They're not even playing. And it's like, he just fucking won Survivor, so, you know, how do you like them apples? The other thing I was also thinking is related. Luck is a big part of every win in Survivor. I doubt that there's one that hasn't been lucky. Frankly, luck is a big part of winning contests, right? Yeah, who gets injured at the right time, who isn't, right? I feel like his has less luck involved. Not no luck. Obviously, like, being on a tribe with Kamilla the whole way is a big part of luck, right? Mm-hmm. Thomas not playing that was a big part of luck. Although, again, they made choices that help with that.
Yeah.
You know, winning sim motion is luck. So, like, there's not no luck. But I can't think of, like, whoo, they really dodged a bullet there. It was kind of just a really complete and controlled game that I find really interesting because, again, a lot of choices I wouldn't have necessarily made. A lot of things that maybe I wouldn't have, like, argued for if I hadn't already felt like I knew what the outcome was. I also don't know that I need to see a lot of it in the future. Like, I probably want a little bit more dynamism, but, you know, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he was lucky?
I mean, of course, in the sense that everyone is lucky that wins Survivor. Like, you can't, you know, if you go back and look at any winner's game, there's inflection points that might be very minor, but like, yeah, it could have absolutely submarined a winner's game at any point along the way. You know,
luckily they decided to put all the shitty people in one tribe to start the game. Like, there's luck, obviously, but
right. I mean, and also from a viewing perspective, it's very lucky that they all decided to just keep voting out the least dynamic people fairly early on. I was like, this is great. Like, well done.
But he had a part in that, right?
He did.
Instead of what we keep seeing. That honestly has been pretty frustrating for me. It's just anytime somebody does something, anytime somebody's like, "Ooh, that's an interesting person," they're fucking gone, right? He and the other people was not a party to that. And even when it got closer to the end game, even when all the viewers started getting real itchy, he was like, "It's probably better for me that Star isn't here," and he was right.
Yep. let's talk briefly about the Mitch thing.
Okay, because it goes through this very episode.
Exactly.
And the live reactions, even in the crowning moments, people were like, wow, I fucked this one up too.
Which,
and again, that's live. It wasn't like at the end of the episode, but there should be retractions.
I don't know how. Because again, I was like, yeah, well, this makes sense. Before the challenging happens, I'm like, well, I know who can't win the challenge is Mitch, because it's definitely going to be him. Did you enjoy the fact that all of them were just straight up with Mitch and like we left no drama on that vote?
Yeah, another way that this is a return to old school Survivor, right?
I mean, yeah, but also like I kind of don't know what you do in that situation, because like you can't even really fake it, Like
there should have been another idol out there somewhere.
Well, that's the thing, is maybe there was, but like nobody was out there finding it. And that was Mitch's only shot. Also, it would have been obviously not going to happen, but it would have been fucking unreal to be Mitch in that position and just be like, well, I guess it's me. And then pull out the idol after all vote for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also just funny me saying that he should have faked an idol. Yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, I just want to, like, Kyle was getting so much shit for what? They're not taking out Joe now. And again, I expected them to try to vote out Joe at 5-2. Probably if you would have pressed me on it, it's like, I bet Joe either goes at 5 or is immune, right? But once they started saying that, like, no, Mitch might really be a threat, and this one's really important, that we shouldn't split the Siva vote, I was like, well, I'm just going to trust them. I'm going to trust, and look, man, do you know how hard this is for me personally? That they know more than I do. And what happens? Kyle wins because he got the Siva votes.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, like, I'm shocked that you went into this finale thinking that it could be Joe at 5. Like, I was pretty convinced.
I didn't bother doing the math. I know Kyle wins, and that's the only part that matters.
Only because, like, last week was the point where I realized, like, oh shit, no. Like, A, I knew Kyle was going to win. B, I was like, oh, he's keeping Joe to the end. Honestly, I actually had the final 3 figured out, because I was like, okay, what's going to be the thing that makes the Kyle win? And I was like, hey, Kamilla can't be in there. And so I was like, all right, if Kyle wins, then it's got to be Joe. And I was like, and it's basically got to be Eva, because why wouldn't you at that point?
Yeah. And again, like, I wasn't worried about the path. I'm like, and when he gets to the end, that's when he's going to win. And yeah, maybe, I felt like he could have beat Mitch.
That's the thing. He probably could have too.
But it really worked out. Like, he got 5 votes. 4 of them were from Siva.
Right.
And that's the thing. Maybe he doesn't. Let's puzzle that all the way back. So he does the thing that everybody on the internet screaming them about. And I like to think the smart ones of them have been like, I guess I was wrong about that. But then fight on the lie, I suppose. So it's not Mitch, right? Mitch is in there instead of Joe. Well, now Mitch obviously isn't voting for him. Okay. So that's one fewer vote. And Joe's vote is obviously voting for Eva.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, is Cedric voting for Kyle, or is Cedric voting for Eva? Literally, if he would have voted out Joe instead of Mitch, Kyle might have lost this game.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying is when I came to the realization that they didn't take the shot on Joe, I was like, oh, they're just keeping him. They're intending to bring him to the final.
And it works. So that's the next move that, like, what? You're bringing Joe to the final 3? At that point, when he said that, I'm like, yeah, sure, man. I mean, the only thing was, like, I would have wanted more assurance that Kamilla would be removed from the game than necessarily putting it in Eva's hands. But I suppose if you said that to Joe, like, at that point, I had zero fear of Kyle facing Joe in the finale.
Right. Also, I did have the same thought of, like, man, I mean, again, I guess I know how this is going to go, but I also wouldn't have expected, like, intentionally putting Eva up against Kamilla. I mean, once Kyle explained, like, look, I don't want to give Joe anything else, so I'm not going to let him win fire. Okay, fair enough. I understand that. And then
once Kyle explained, I just want to highlight that again. Because that's what he did this entire season long, and people just didn't believe him, man.
Which was
just
insane.
disagreed.
Again, contrast to what we said earlier, where people were like, "Oh, Chrissy says she's got a great social game. That must be true." Like Kyle and Kamilla were telling us their game the whole season long, and people are like, "Yeah, but that's not their game." Yeah, it is. They laid that shit out for us every time.
It wasn't hidden. Is it because everybody second screens this show? I don't know. I don't, because I don't watch live. So what's the point? And it's just like I don't think that these were like intricate details. I wasn't fucking counting confessionals. I wasn't paying attention to what animals were being shown. I was just like, when Kyle would do something, I was like, huh. And then he would explain exactly why he did it. I'd be like, oh, okay.
Right.
Like, literally in this episode, like, I need somebody to explain to me why Kyle voted out Mitch. Well, Kyle just did.
Yep.
How about you take his word for it?
Right. And then like Kamilla explaining to Kyle, like, hey, I can't take you to the end. It's got to be one of us. Like, okay, thanks for laying that out there for me.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Correct. And then also the one thing where I hesitated was like, Kyle was like, oh, maybe I'll go and do fire against Kamilla myself. And I was like, look, don't do that shit.
Yeah. That's what you do when you're not sure if you got the win.
And also, not only that, but I was like, just narratively, I don't want that. I don't want to watch that happen. So don't make that happen. Because I did think like, well, I guess that could be a thing that happened. Like that one was, I was at least like, well, he could. He shouldn't, but I guess he could. Yeah. And so
like going back to Ghost Island and Dominic often cuts, like kicks himself for not doing it. I have never in a moment thought that Dominic should have gone into fire to knock out Wendell. It's like if you think you have a legitimate chance, even if that person makes it to the final 3, then don't put yourself at risk.
Right.
And he had a legitimate chance. He tied. He was 1 vote away.
Yep. So speaking of like quick aside about the fire challenge, like, damn. I mean,
yeah.
Again, I assumed
really
Kamilla was going to lose, but I was like, oof.
Not like
this.
Not like this.
This is bad. It's a little painful.
And then like Eva's fire almost completely goes out, and I'm like, I'm not sure that's going to matter.
Right. It was just like, oh no, Kamilla, like she was just out there. Like you could see Ty Halliburton doing the choke gesture at her. Like, no, come on, Kamilla. But again, and I wasn't even rooting that hard for her because I was like, I already know it's going to be Kyle. So I guess you don't make it. So I'm not like that invested.
I think she was in the loser seat too, though.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, is when they went to sit down, I was like, hang on, isn't the further away one always the loser seat?
I think that's accurate.
I think that's right.
I need somebody else who pays more attention to that.
Exactly. Who some kind of Survivor podcaster might keep track of that. I'll look around, see who we find.
This is how fucking unprofessional. And again, we're not professionals. Never made a dime. Only cost. This takes, doesn't give. Right. John didn't realize 2 days ago that the finale was this week.
It was so good because they were like, oh, we're going to announce the season 50 returnees. Like, whatever the next Wednesday is, the 27th, 8th or something?
28th, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's the finale, right? And you guys are like, John, the finale's tomorrow. I was like, yeah, that's right. That sounds familiar.
Best in the business.
Oh, it's good stuff. All right. So let's talk about the Final Tribal Council. How did you feel like everybody's game went down? I guess, do we want to do one by one? How did each person do? Or just want to do general thoughts on the Final Tribal?
General thoughts. One thing I found, especially of late, and this has probably always been true, but it's something I thought of. It's probably a fool's errand to try to discuss who did well or not.
Right.
It's a fully edited thing, and we don't know the dynamics at play. And I feel like even in the past, maybe there's been 1 or 2 that like really stood out. But it's like, I don't know if anybody ever does that well on this. And that would include tonight. I like other viewers. This is the one time I think all season long where I was like, can we get to the fireworks factory already? Where it felt like, Kyle, you got to mention the things you did. When you're not mentioning it, the opportunity was right there. And like, I guess he's one of those that never swings on pitch 1. He has to wait, to see what the pitcher had. Because, they had the moment where they're talking about, I think, duos or whatever. Like, this is it. And then he let it go by. It's like, okay, again, I know he's going to win, but I kind of want to see him. I want to see this reveal.
Right. Do the thing. Do the thing.
And then he did the thing, thanks to Kamilla throwing him off the
absolutely
backboard.
teed him up.
Yeah,
she even was like, "I got you." It's like, oh,
maybe
okay.
she was like us. I feel like her and Shaheen kind of was. I kind of feel like they talked. Yeah. And she probably filled him in a bit more on what, because I bet he was so excited, like somebody's really ready to talk game here, instead of just milk or whatever bullshit, right? Because I feel like Shaheen was waiting for it, and then it wasn't happening, and then when when the thing happened, and the thing being talking about how they got rid of Shaheen, he was like, yes.
Yep.
Especially because again, Kyle did the thing you talked about. It's like, well, I had to do that. You were gonna be a big threat.
All you had to do was tell Shaheen he was the smart one, and he's like, oh. You guys nailed it. You accurately assessed the situation. I was great.
Then that's the one non-Siva vote that Kyle got. But what did you think of the tribal council as a whole?
I mean, I think I kind of agree that he was hesitant to really go for the jugular. But I think that, again, that's probably part of reading the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Joe and Eva weren't taking shots at Kyle. So I think he felt bad if he was going to be the drawing first blood, So he just kind of like tentatively hyped his own game up, and it wasn't until like Kamilla was like, all right, look, I'm gonna set this shit up so you can knock it down. And then he was like, okay, all right, well, I'll lean into it now. And that's kind of like when he got his groove.
By what we're seeing in the edit and all that, and things could be missequenced and all that. The thing is, like, I mentioned this talking to you, it's like my one worry about Kyle was like, is he really going to go out there in front of tribal council and talk about how he made a fool of Joe? Like, I just, again, get that disappointed. So I was worried that that's what he was dancing around. But like everything else this season, once he kind of gets to it, I was like, yeah, man, I'll just trust that Kyle knows what he's doing here. Because I think that there is something to that like if he would have just come out and was like, actually, I was lying to you guys all this whole time. I'm the Survivor King. I think he might have lost. I just don't know if this was the room for that.
Right.
They wanted to hear that somebody did something. He absolutely had to do that. And I think, say, where Joe falls short is that he couldn't give them any of that. Like, there wasn't anything. He was what you saw. He was what he said he was. And some of them were like, you weren't what you said you were because you voted me out. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, we know, Joe. We need more from you. Right? Yeah. If, like, a different type player did what Joe did, straight up and all of this, that might have been more respected. But when you're like the overdog, they need more. And he couldn't give that. So, like, Kyle did have to give more, but I think he had to measure it. I think he couldn't just go all out. And I also think timing is important. I don't think he wanted to give Eva and Joe more time to rebut it. And I think it landed at the right time, if indeed that was the time that it landed.
Right. We can't know for sure. The other thing I want to point out about this final tribal is, I told you that I actively cringed at David standing up at the tribal council weeks ago. Man, this guy is, oh my God, just the mean mugging thing, and then just like the knock joke. Everything about it. I was like, please stop. Please,
just like they were before when he stood up. They're like, wait, is this real? Is this happening? What did we say here?
God.
Especially because he was probably scaring them a bit, right?
I genuinely, I would have just let it hang. I would have been like,
going back to fan mail, we did get one as top 3 knock jokes. Here's the real quick. None. There's never been a funny knock joke ever once you've like exited the age of 4. So there you go.
Right.
And how fitting that's how David decided to play.
Saying. I was like, oh God, this is terrible.
The milkman. Real quick on that, because Brad keeps saying this and all this, like drinking milk is childish. What the fuck is childish about drinking a healthy beverage? I get that some people, as they get older, especially, and some people just in general, develop lactose intolerance. But if you haven't, I don't understand why it's like, I'm a grown-up now. I don't need things from my bones and protein. I only drink booze. Like, what it's nothing childish about drinking milk if you have the constitution that can handle it.
I don't know if this is going to land with you or not, but just speaking of being an adult and drinking milk, when I was like early 20, I was probably like 21 at the time. There was this guy who took a bunch of us to the bar. He was a couple years older than us. And he's like, guys, you have to try this drink. It's tequila and milk. Ugh. Now, again, you're not a drinker.
Just the tequila is like,
right. But you can imagine, again, even as a non-drinker, that combining things with milk, alcohol with milk, generally, there are some exceptions, but generally, especially a tequila, like, why? That is not a pairing that you want.
Yeah, man, all I really want to mix with milk is like syrups that turned it into a flavored milk.
Exactly.
Or like ice cream that turns it into a milkshake. But yeah, It's like, forget the tequila part. It's like, I'm not like, hey, let's throw this pop. Well, I guess like a float is a nice thing. No, but that's not milk. That's ice cream. Yeah, I don't. But
I mean, it's a dairy product. But regardless. But anyway, I'm getting off track.
I brought us there, so that's on me.
I know. But just watching David be David was like, oh, okay, this is too much. Please stop.
Yeah.
So
and then like I think Eva did all right at the final tribal council, but it also like very felt like, a student kind of giving through a presentation. Like it, yeah. Again, not fake. It's just in her cadence and stuff. It was like, yeah, no, I mean, she said some things. She got 2 votes that I don't know if she would have had on going in, so good for her.
Yeah,
but
she outperformed what I thought she'd do. I thought she would be 0 votes. I thought maybe 1, but no, 2. Yeah. She doubled what I thought her max was. So, and then I don't think we have to say a whole lot more about Joe other than like, as I said earlier, like good example of positive masculinity. Just like seemed like really in touch with his emotions, having these good conversations with Kyle. Like, it was nice to watch him. Didn't want him to win, but it was fun to watch him on my TV sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually happy that like he didn't wasn't just attacked.
Yeah, get clowned or something.
Yeah, it's like we didn't need that. Like, I don't want him to win, but I don't need any of that. And I'll say, just kind of quick final thoughts on Joe is, I was fine with his presentation in the game. Again, I was impressed by the way that he was able to kind of shape the season to as best a chance that somebody like him would have. But that again gets to the end. He was the guy who wanted it to be one way, but it's that other way.
Mm-hmm.
I did read Exit with him, and he's fairly well aware. It's like, no, I'm not saying this is the way everybody has to do it, but what's so wrong with me trying? And again, and if it was a different season and people weren't receptive to that, then maybe I have to do another thing. So, but like this season, David's like, yeah, no, I'm up for that. I got these other people. So it's like, yeah, he tried to do it that way because that's where his comfort zone was. I don't think he would ever succeed in a more backstabby season. But yeah, I found it really interesting this season. But as like Assistant Dragon Slayer, one of our top commenters on our website says, I don't need to see it again. Like I don't need this to be the new meta of Survivor.
I actually wrote down his comment because it was good. He said, I both thoroughly enjoyed this season and hope to God it doesn't become the norm for Survivor.
Yeah, amen.
Yes,
which exactly. Was my comment back. But yeah, 100%. Like I will rank this season well, not as highly as I was thinking about doing out of petty spite, but still far higher than most of them will. But yeah, it's like it was nice. It was a really nice change of pace, really interesting in many ways. But I would rather return to more Survivor-like Survivor.
Yep. Also, quick side note again too on David. Like I talked about Joe being the positive masculinity icon, but like, who the fuck is talking about elbow positioning?
I mean, the podcast he listens to, right?
Probably. Right? Like,
I do think he was a little tongue-in-cheek. Like, there was a smile, but also,
But also, why even? Why?
Well, because he's not a genuinely funny man.
That's true. My God, just, horrific. Anyway.
I joined everybody else who was like, hey, man, where's my milk for Joe? Joe, like, David's been drinking milk this whole time. Joe's been stuck on the island.
Right.
Give the man a glass of milk.
Joe, also a big milk fan. So, in honor of this duo-laden season, I thought it would be important for us to give our own top 3 duos. I've had 48 seasons of Survivor, so there's plenty of stuff or plenty of duos for us to choose from. So I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Yeah, real quick. We usually save this at the end. You can skip, but we're still going to talk about a bit more of the season when we're done here. Just final thoughts and that sort of thing. But yeah, top 3 duos. And if you've been following along how we do these top 3s, I hope you're not hoping for Survivor content here, because that's not what we're going to do.
Oh, the head fake's not going to work. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have. I'll start with an honorable mention, as we often do.
Sure.
And for this one, I think a lot of people think that, like, for a really strong duo, there should be even. Like, both parties are bringing something, equal balance to the. And that's not true necessarily. What you really want of a duo is that they complement one another.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be, a star and a sidekick. That's still a strong duo.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, I'm going to go with Andy and John from the Purple Rock podcast.
Oh, you don't say.
They're just a phenomenal duo. They work really well. It's important to know your roles.
Yeah.
Not everybody can lead the scoring. John Stockton made the Hall of Fame based on assists. Oh God, never mind. Strike that, because I just realized what I'm applying and that I'm in that relationship. Oh my God, that was the biggest cell phone I've ever.
Yes, you were.
I did not think that one through.
Nope.
It was. The problem, live mics. I was not intending. I'm not that psyched about a John Stockton comparison.
Right. Yeah, same. It was fun to watch you go down that path, though.
God damn.
Yeah. See, mine is much less problematic for the honorable mention. I'm going with TNA. As you said, just complementary pairings. Very much a big fan of, TNA. Together, they make beautiful music.
All right. So for my number 3, when I was thinking about duos, I was kind of like, couples are different than duos, right?
Yeah. I mean, well,
yeah,
probably.
I mean, it's still 2 people, but like a top 3 couples list would.
I feel like that goes a different direction. Yeah.
But this one, I kind of on the balance of both, and I'm going with Jesse and Celine from the Before trilogy of movies. Before Sunrise and Before Sunset are 2 of my favorite movies, and I think why they qualify is they're not really a couple for those 2 movies. They are in the 3rd movie, which I don't enjoy as much. But the Before Sunrise meant a lot to me when I was in high school, and then when they came back in Sunset, meant a lot. So you probably have no idea really what I'm talking about.
I don't.
It's Ethan Hawke.
Sure.
And anyway, sorry.
That sounds like cinema.
Yeah, and the whole movies are 2 people getting to know each other or reconnecting in the sequel, and it's just talking back and forth and that. So it's a very it is very much about them and their duo. The whole movie is just them. There's bit parts of like people they run into in the street, and it's all told. Well, the second one's real time. The first one is like a night. So those duos carry these 3 movies, and that's why. And they're some of my favorites. So that's number 3.
All right. Well, my number 3 is Link and Zelda from the Legend of Zelda franchise on Nintendo. Just what are we at, like 30 years-ish now of just delivering games that I've thoroughly enjoyed. The most recent one, probably one of, if not my absolute favorite video game ever. I just genuinely enjoyed spending time playing that game. So shout out to Link and Zelda as one of my top duos, which again, not a romantic pairing. Right? It's very much like, Zelda is usually in trouble in some way, that with one exception. And then, Link out there saving Zelda because he's the sworn protector knight somehow. It's great. Good series.
So my number 2, a while back, we did our constant bit of like, haha, you're the sidekick. No, you're the sidekick. And I posited what was, a pretty good body blow. And like, is the sidekick ever the one that doesn't talk that much? And people pointed us out in comments. It's like, Wallace and Gromit. And fantastic pairing, fantastic duo, but Gromit's still the sidekick, folks. Like, I get he is the brains of the operation, but like his are the B plots and stuff. So, but yeah, no, I love the Wallace and Gromit shorts, the movies. We named our first dog Gromit, and he passed like I think 3, maybe 4 years ago, and we still talk about him every week. So there we go.
He's a good doggo. All right, my number 2, a bit of a throwback. Turk and JD from the Scrubs series.
Nice.
Yeah. I always enjoyed watching Scrubs. Not that it was ever my favorite TV show, but I just enjoyed hanging out with Turk and JD being fucking ridiculous, but also besties. Like you could tell, like, just again, a positive male relationship. I enjoyed watching them be entertaining on my TV.
And number one, probably no surprise based on a lot of earlier lists, but Outcast, Andre 3000, and Big Boy.
Okay, fair. I mean, I of course, again, probably not a surprise for you. My number one is Tribe Called Quest, which is, of course, a duo. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I had a vision that you've already done this in the
past. I was only doing it to piss you off. Chocolate and peanut butter. That's my number one, Andy. Because
nice.
Two great tastes. Tastes even better together. Somehow, the combined product of them is better than the individual parts. Yes, chocolate and peanut butter. Far and away, number one with the bullet.
Yeah, I considered that, but I'm like, is it better than peanut butter and jelly?
Yes.
Yes. I think the answer is yes.
Yeah,
but
it is. Yeah. It's very versatile. Like, it's just, you have it in, like, you want to have it in a cake? Sure. You want it in an ice cream? Yeah, absolutely. You want it in a candy bar? Mm-hmm. All those things. I want it in all of those ways.
So, yeah, there you go. The season defined by duos. Those are three of the best of this season, though. Of course, the best duo was undoubtedly Kyle and Kamilla. And I figured, yes, we haven't talked much about her. We should maybe have some final thoughts about Kamilla. And what did you think about the jury saying that, all of them, we would have voted for Kamilla if she made it at the end? Do you think that's accurate?
I mean, no. Would all of them have done it? No. I do think she probably still wins. I don't think it's by a large margin. I mean, I think she would maybe...
Yeah, and it all depends on, like, what's the scenario that she's there. If it's her instead of Kyle, then it is that big sweep. But if it's her and Kyle...
Oh, no, I'm thinking in a scenario where, like, she wins that final immunity. No. She wins final immunity and she gets Kyle out in fire. Like, if she's up against Joe and Eva, I think she still wins. I just think it's, it's tight. She would
have had to send Joe to fire, which she probably would have.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to make that promise.
Right, exactly. And also, like, why wouldn't she want to sit herself next to Eva?
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was the way
Yeah, no, and I believe. I mean, also what helps decide it's the next day, but it's also something it's easy to say, right? It's easy to say to somebody who's really nice that actually wasn't there. It's like, oh no, yeah, we totally would have voted for you, but I could see her winning. I could see her winning against Kyle, even. It's just because she would be what they all wanted to be, which is the person that survived against and went up against that dominant alliance. And succeeded. They all thought that they could be that person, and they were all wrong. So, yeah, I know, I definitely... And, she has the bigger underdog vibes. Like, I absolutely believe that she would have won. Because, again, it's important to remember that Kyle was in that alliance. And probably working within it a lot more than we thought. One interesting thing that's come out since then, I don't usually read exits, but for some reason I did. Honestly, because Kyle is an engaging person. I was interested in somebody sent a link. He kind of... thinks that they probably showed about 90% of his conversations with Kamilla in this episode. Like, it was overrepresented in the edit how much they were working together. And this is obviously backed up by things they said even on the show, right? That, like, they would run, they would talk, and then bam, they would untalk again.
Right.
They were so, cautious about keeping it a secret. So it's like, he was with the other people far more often as part of the design of their plan and all of that. So, if the jury was looking for somebody to be their underdog, to be the person who, like, beats that group because they all wanted to, then yeah, absolutely, it's her. And then my other thought, and you can share yours. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of wiggle room. Man, she was fucking awesome, right? I loved her on this season.
So great. Like I said, genuinely, like, for the most part, there is no survivor that I'm interested in talking to or following on, like, social media or anything like that. She's one, though. She's fun. I bet, like, is she on Blue Sky? I feel like she is.
I don't follow any survivors on Blue Sky.
Right. Like, but I don't know. I would look her up. I would not be surprised if she's actually, like, entertaining, and I would maybe follow her on the non-fascist Twitter. We'll see.
Yeah. Now, then leads to, like, well, was she actually better than Kyle? And I'm like, I mean, they were a duo, man. But as previously established, sometimes one member of a duo is better than the other, right?
That's right, sidekick.
I think people would say that about Three Stacks, but I think Big Boy is actually underrated. And then maybe one of the others in my list as well. But, like, Kyle actually, like, within this season, it was more of his things to do, right? and some of that might be edit based, but we never really saw Kamilla like working a secondary plan with the people outside that of Alliance, right? So,
well, I think we got like Kyle and Kamilla openly discussing like, no, Kyle needs to socially finesse this, whereas Kamilla is the strategic brains behind the operation. So that,
and I think in a different season
out.
it could be different, right? But
Yeah.
like in the ways that the social dynamics worked in this season, with the people that were still around, like people that gained some level of power, or at least numbers, Kyle was better positioned to be that person. But he was that person, and he did things, and like he had more agency through a larger part of the game to do things,
right?
Than she. Again, it's not like, oh, that means he's so much better. I just don't want that comment to come that came out of, when they're all eating terrible pizza to be like, yeah, no, Kamilla was better. It's like, I mean, for one, we got scoreboard. Maybe she should have started a fire at all, much less faster. But it's like, we don't need to diminish Kyle to celebrate Kamilla.
Agreed. Also, they're both fucking great. So
yeah, man.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, again, the reaction to, like, I get that, like, if it just was not like this is your betrayal show, that's what you come for, and there wasn't any of that. I get it. That's fine. I mean, no shade. Again, what I appreciate about Kyle is like that hasn't been working out very well for Kyle types in the past. So not just jumping on that makes sense. I get if it was just a little dull, but it's just like, how are you not enjoying the season of Kyle and Kamilla? And a lot of it is just they refuse to accept that it was the season of Kyle and Kamilla.
Right. Yeah. I do wonder if they go back and watch, will they be like, oh, this season is much better on rewatch? Like, no. It's much better because now you're realizing what's going to happen.
Yeah, you just needed to open your eyes,
Yeah. Any other final thoughts on this season that we want to get out there?
Kind of didn't write this down, but so we won't like even pre-rank it or anything. But like, positive, negative, middle of the road. Where are you at?
We're probably in the upper third, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those numbers mean.
Yeah,
now,
I guess not. That's top 16, which it doesn't sound like
maybe
that's so hot.
Maybe around there. Like, yeah, I'm
be.
Like late teens, early 20s could be. I have not looked at all where I'm at. I will say that it's been reported to us pretty stringently and a lot that we have overranked 44. And when I heard that, I'm like, man, it actually does sound like we might have gone too far on that one. How about this? Within the modern era, how do you feel about this in comparison to the others? And again, I'm not saying rank it, but just in general.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just go, I think this is one of the better. I enjoyed this season more than a lot of the others of the 40s.
Right. It's, in the 40s, there's probably like 2 or 3 in the top tier. This is one of the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, I still think 44 is there. And anybody's like, why 44? It's just about those 2. Yeah, it's about those 2, man. I don't need it to be about a lot of others if I really like those 2.
Right.
Just accept that we're into this show for different reasons.
They carried the season. It was great.
Yeah, a totally fun and unique duo that I guess was also a bit of a trio. In the way that Alicia Muhammad is part of a Tribe Called Quest. Made it really fun to watch. I give a fuck about like how balanced an edit is, or like, oh, this person, they didn't show that much of this person. Cool. Leave that person out of the show. But yeah, so that's just kind of it. And everybody can share theirs others. So that's all we have on the season.
Yep.
Did we want to cover anything else?
Let's do some quick fan mail because we're about to wrap this thing up and we're not going to get to any more fan mail until whenever the fuck it comes back, September-ish. That sounds right. A quick look ahead though. We will likely post a season 50 Survivor cast discussion. They've announced that they're going to announce it next Wednesday. Turns out not yesterday, not the day of the finale.
Which actually I think was good. I'm glad they didn't like, hey, you all ready for 49? Cool.
Anyway,
let's ignore those people, which is what we're going to do. But at least we got, like, those people got their 3 minutes in the finale.
Oh, also, quick snap take. I don't know, man. But nothing jumped out at me. I was like, oh, man, there's probably
underwater
reason.
Shots. Yeah. What, you're not psyched for the Riz God?
Oh, my God. Yeah,
And everybody's like, that's the first boot. And like, no. I work on Capitol Hill, guy, is your first boot.
Yeah, it just, no one popped in that preview. Not that I don't feel like all the time people do, but sometimes. Anyway, so we'll probably do a season 50 cast discussion post. maybe we do some additional content related to it. We'll see. No promises, but posts at the very least. That feels like something we can do. And as Andy mentioned, we do rankings. We do rankings around here.
That sounds like poop.
Yep. Just like our rankings. So we'll update those.
That's the one we do. We do it in the summer.
Yep. We'll do it in the summer whenever we get around to it. And then you can debate and argue and tell us we're wrong and you'll be wrong. But,
spoiler alert, Nicaragua ain't moving off the bottom, folks.
It's a terrible fucking season.
I actually moved it off my bottom because 39 has a very good reason to be there.
It does.
But I might flip that just because I know how angry it makes a certain subset.
It's great. The contrarians that want to pretend that season was good. It's garbage. All right. So quickly, our texts, which are called fan mail. So if I use those terms interchangeably, sorry, that's just what it calls them, and I get it. Anyway, someone did send us, first of all, who would win the fight between one gorilla and 100 humans meme thing.
Yeah, it is the question of our time.
It is. It's right up there with how often you think about the Roman Empire.
Which is like, I don't. I'm sorry. Was that supposed to be a thing I'm supposed to do?
All the time.
I feel like I'm a guy's guy, but whatever. Maybe it's an American thing.
All right. What about gorilla versus humans? Who you got?
Yeah. So here's the thing. It depends on the scenario. Like where obviously like the spirit of these things are always no weapons.
Sure.
Which, okay. How motivated are the humans?
And
really
the gorilla.
Well, the gorilla will get motivated once it's attacked, right?
Right. That's true.
Because it won't be at first. And then like how much space we talking here? Like if it's a fairly enclosed space and the people,
are we in an octagon?
That might be too much, too enclosed for 100 people.
I was gonna say it's a pretty tight room.
But again, if it's like a big like arena or they can back the fuck off, I feel like I'll have to. This is what I'll get to. Yeah, if it's a big space gorilla, because after like the humans see like 5 dudes get wrecked, they're like, ah. Basically, the thing, the humans need to be properly motivated in that, like, you're gonna die if you don't defeat this gorilla. In that case, I'm going with the humans, just from sheer numbers. If they're fighting for their life anyway, a large portion of them will die, but yeah, man, when they can overpower it eventually. Like, you get like humans used to capture animals all the time, way before the invention of the firearm. Now, again, they made other tools, right? Which I don't think these people get, but I think 100 humans properly motivated in a small enough space that they can't just run away would eventually win.
Also,
at high cost.
There's, if I'm one of these humans, here's my move. I'm waiting for the first few to get, dismembered, and I'm using the body
arms
parts
as the weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grab one of them as a shield.
Yeah, you gotta get creative here. All right, so we also got a text. This is quality stuff. I'm gonna read it verbatim. Me by him, GF F TYC. I don't know what this means. But
you fully lost me. I'm fairly versed in the internet too.
Right. It's me by him, girlfriend, female. Thank you. C. That's the only things that I've got. So I just still don't understand what it means, but
I mean, the F could be something else.
That's very, very true. It could be paying respect in the chat. Go real Mimi. I don't think that's what it means. Anyway, last but not least, one of my favorite fan mails. John, I know this sounds crazy, but it's me, yourself, John, texting from the future. I don't have much time, but I need to warn you, you have to get Andy off the podcast. The fate of the world. Actually, no, say no more. It goes on after that. I'm sold.
You have to sell past the close.
You know what? You didn't need to include further words. Yes, I agree with you, me from the future. You're right. I do have to do that. But then the problem is I'd have to pick somebody else. And it's just like, ugh, I would just quit. I'd just be done. Like, fuck it. I don't have the energy.
Speaking of toxic, I told you so. So that almost happened after it goes down. We were like, yeah, it was nice to be right, but fuck, man. All people do is complain about this show. Maybe we don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah. There were a couple seasons in there that it came close. I think that was the one where it was closest, though. Where I was just like, I don't think I got it in me anymore. Who knew?
But instead, how about you take me off the podcast for at least a few months now.
That's right. We'll throw you on the disabled list, and then hopefully you can rehab and get back into podcasting shape by this September.
Purple Rock October, podcast. We don't know.
What's that? Or October?
Or October. We don't know when
true.
It starts.
Sure.
I guess nobody really knows when it starts.
I feel like generally it's September.
Yeah.
But purplerockpodcast.com is our website. You can go on there. I'll have up the Final Fantasy rankings. Let's go with Monday. And of course, like I said, we'll have a hopefully cast discussion post up there, and summer rankings will come up. Anything else, Andy?
Hit the theme music.
This is the copyright-free outro to another niche survivor